give the machine a complete charge before you use it. So this machine was built in our factory, and the batteries came from the battery company, and then the batteries were put in the machine, and then the machine was shipped. So batteries may have been sitting for a few weeks. And they always say put a nice fresh charge on it before you.
They're like electric car batteries.
They are exactly the deep cycle batteries you would see in a golf cart, wheelchair, or an electric vehicle.
So this is something after the warranty period is up, if nothing occurs that Peter Benson could take care of.
Okay.
So
replacement of the batteries, things of that like.
What you do need to do is these do require interaction and maintenance.
Right.
These are wet batteries. Now, you can always tell how many volts a battery is by the cap. Each cell is 2 volts, so 2, 4, 6. That's a 6-volt battery. You got 4 6-volt batteries. Who's good at math? How many volts? 24 volt system. Very good. That's why we send it with a 24-volt charger. Wouldn't that be good? I'm going to show you something here, and I'm going to break the rules. I'm not wearing a personal protection device. Should have gloves and should have goggles. If you open this up, I want you to see what a full battery looks like. That's considered full. Full battery is not full all the way to the top. There is to the bottom of that filled. Can you see that? What looks like corrugated cardboard in there? Can you see that? Can we see that? Those are the plates. They need to be covered all the time in that liquid. Any part of that that gets exposed to air, that portion of the battery is toast. So if 10% is exposed, then you can only ever get 90% battery life out of that battery, which is a bummer. We don't want that to happen.
Your runtime becomes less and less.
Exactly.
Now, just because this one's full doesn't mean that one's full. These are 3 separate cells. So there is a dividing wall between all 3 cells. Batteries will equalize over time. These batteries are wired, not to get too complicated here, but these batteries are wired in series to make one 24-volt battery. The positive of one post is connected to the negative of another, and the negative to the positive. So it turns those 4 batteries into one big 24-volt battery, right? If you use this every day, and I hope you do, make 1 day a week battery day. Get a gallon of distilled water and get a turkey baster and top off each one once a week. Every time you charge this machine, you're going to smell kind of a little sulfury smell. That's the gassing off, which is natural and normal. You do not need to take these caps off when you charge it. They are vented caps. In the old school days, guys said, well, we're charging the batteries, we take all the caps off. You don't have to do that.
Man.
You do not have to do that. You do want to make sure they're on there tight. You don't want them loose because acid could spill out. You don't want to get anything on your fingers. You don't want to put your fingers in there because you get some on your fingers, you burn a hole in your clothes, you do this, you do this, you do this. Next thing you know, I got to go to the doctor, right? So distilled water, I tell people if you're using it every day, make Friday battery day. Friday's a great day, everybody's in a good mood. We're going to go home for the week perhaps, maybe you're working on the weekend, but Friday's the day we top off the batteries with distilled water. Maybe there's a sign up chart. Hey, who did the, I thought you were, I never did, you, me, right? And we do sadly get calls 6 months down the road going, hey, the machine's working great, but it's only running for about 30 minutes. It used to run for almost 3 hours. We get out there and it's desert, dry as a, yeah.
And we can get distilled water from Science Village.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
They sell it at Albertsons. That's what Mom uses in the iron, right?
We just empty out, we just use reusable, like sometimes you get tea or juice, we just clean it out real good and we go over there and empty out. Because we maintain our carts that way as well.
There you go. If you guys are already maintaining carts, you're way ahead of the game.
Definitely.
Way ahead of the game. So that's good. I like to start with the batteries because this is the heart and soul of the machine. So I do want to talk about your charger. The charger is portable. And it is designed specifically for this machine. So I'm going to take it out here. Should have brought my clippers, but I think I can get this off of here.
Nice.
Why don't you take off that if you don't mind, and I'll work on this guy up here. Anybody got a... I know that's some. Oh, God bless you.
Nice. If only there was a pause button on this thing.
Pause? there's a pause button.
No, there's just stop.
I wish. Yeah, just stop.
Good.
It's all good. We'll keep it running. We'll keep it
You're running right now?
Yeah.
Really?
For about 5 minutes. Can't miss the battery part, you know, he's got to hear about that.
Yeah. So the battery charger plugs into the wall and plugs into the machine. And I'll show you, it doesn't actually plug into the machine, it plugs into the batteries. We've had people put this on there and they wonder why batteries aren't charging. We've had people plug this in there and go, yeah, it's not working, it's not charging. Well, follow the cables. You want to charge the batteries. So the power's going to come out of the wall, go through here, and go into the batteries. So, pretty good.
That's just a holder for it.
No, that's it, plugging it into the machine.
Oh, actually the machine. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so now we're putting the power into the machine. Right. Oh, there she is. Ah, gotcha. Great. So this is a pretty standard computer type cord. Now this charger, you can see it's mountable. And that's not a bad thing at all. We have people that, I'm guessing this machine's staying primarily in the gym.
Do we have a location for it already?
Do you have a storage spot in mind?
So we'll have to, is that a 20 amp circuit required for that?
Yeah, I think the amp rating, I think it'll work on a, yeah, it works on a standard, like,
Because that's,
even 15 amp.
we don't have anything lower than 20 amps.
Oh, then you're gonna be fine.
So it's just a matter of making sure that there's an outlet that's accessible.
Right. And that the outlet isn't overloaded. The only time you see problems with these chargers, and I've seen it, they say, God, plug in all night, and it's usually a 2-to-1. For every hour runtime, you'll need 2 hours charging. So if you run it for an hour, you'll charge it for 2. If you run it for 2, you'll charge it for 4. If you run it for 3 plus, you'll charge it for 6 plus. We have people that tell us they use it, 8 hours a day. It's like, it won't run 8 hours on a full charge, but they'll use it for an hour and a half, charge it, an hour and a half, charge it, so you can opportunity
So there's
charge.
no memory or anything
Right,
like
that's the magic word. There's no memory. These batteries thrive on being topped off, like going to the gas. Like my wife panics, when it gets down to a quarter tank, she got to get to the gas station. Her fear of running out of gas, right? That's fine with this. The old school days were let it run all the way down, especially the phones we had in our house, the Jerry Seinfeld phone with the antenna, the landline. You had to run those all the way down. These they don't. So I tell people if you run it for 20 minutes or 2 hours, plug it in the wall. The charger's a smart charger. It'll turn on automatically. When it's fully charged, it'll shut off automatically. And you can't hurt it. You can't overheat it. You can't. The batteries won't be sitting there bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. So, and I'm guessing you're going to use it probably minimum 3 days a week. I would hope, maybe more. So, yeah, I hope so too. It's designed to be used every day. You can see some people just put this on the shelf and leave it. Sometimes we see them take this with them because we use it in the student union. We use it in the multi-purpose room, and we use it. If this is staying here, it's nice to maybe fasten that to a shelf.
I think that would be a good idea. Shelf or something secure.
Yeah.
Then to do, they won't walk off.
Yeah, or fall and break, and now we got to buy a $400, $500, $600, $800 charger. I don't know what they cost, but they're not giving them away. So no questions there. They don't want you to modify the length of this cord. That was what I was going to say. So we have gone to places where they said it's not charging. It's been plugged in for overnight and it's still not fully charged because the lights here will tell you when they're fully charged. And we go out there and guess what? This is plugged into an extension cord. And the extension cord is really skinny and green, like for Christmas time, and it's 100 feet long. We followed around the corner and followed up, and it's in an outlet that has a drinking fountain and a Coke machine in it. Like, we're suffering some real amp draw here. That's why we're not getting.
Well, they're lucky they didn't have a fire and a meltdown.
That
Yeah,
could have been
definitely.
it too, right?
That's what I was
The
thinking.
longer the distance, the heavier the cord needs to be.
That's right. So the language they use is don't modify the length of this cord. So would somebody make it shorter? Well, modify could be longer or shorter, but I think that's code for don't. Yeah, find the proper juice. All right. So what I want to do now? Any questions about the batteries?
No, sir.
Pretty simple. Be careful around them. There's considered, that acid will bite you. What I want to do now is follow the flow of the solution. Oh, you know what I left? I left that towel, but I can use that green towel, I suppose. I left that towel in the box.
In the box, yeah.
That's all right. It's a little hand towel. I'm going to follow the flow of the solution so we can touch on everything, and you'll see where all the solution goes. That's okay. Kind of just use it just like this. When I follow the flow of the solution, you'll see all the systems. So, without any further ado, The first thing we do is put water and product in here. We like to think that people aren't using buckets because it'll splash under the seat and get water in there. We don't want that.
Well, that's what's nice about our dispensers.
That's right. Super nice.
Definitely.
And if you have a wall mount proportioner, it mixes the product for you. A lot of the gym floor products is a neutral cleaner, neutral pH. It's not acidic. It's not too alkaline. It's pretty neutral.
And we have those in these areas.
And he brought you some as well.
On the request, it was 12 gallons of the pH neutral. I also threw in like a little measuring cup too, so you can dilute it out perfect. But it goes at 1 ounce per gallon, so I put 14 ounces.
Yeah, we filled it halfway, but this tank will hold 29 gallons. So if it's full, you'd put in 29 ounces if you want 1 ounce per gallon. If the floor was really nasty after a tournament or an event or something, you could bump it up to 2 ounces per gallon. But usually, whatever it says on the bottle, you don't have to go full throttle. Less is more sometimes.
No, and that's the thing. Sometimes it's worth mixing it correctly.
Exactly.
It's America. Everybody thinks more is better, and they say, "Well, we used it. It said 1 ounce. We used 4 ounces per gallon." They wonder why the floor is kind of sticky or it's got some soap residue on it. You don't want it.
Everyone turns into a chemist when they're working with that.
Now we've got water in the tank. The first thing the water's going to do is go through this filter. Now this is another area we want you to interact with. There is a red valve here. If you want to just come under here and see, it's just a ball valve, and that's open or closed, right?
Okay.
When it's in line with the pipe, it's open. When it's crossed the pipe, it's closed. So I've just closed off the water flow so I can take off this filter. This is a permanent filter. It has a stainless steel screen in it. We have hard water in Southern California. Or if somebody does mix chemical too strong in there and it sits in there for 4 days, it starts to do funny stuff. It almost becomes like the bottom of a soap dish. This would get gooey. So we've had people using this machine, and 2 months down the road they go, the water just doesn't seem to be flowing out like it used to. Have you checked the filter? They take this out and they go, oh my goodness, right? Green algae, white chalky little rocks, calcium. If they're doing plumbing in the neighborhood or construction, sometimes you'll get sand coming out of a faucet. So that's where it'll trap. And that's a good thing. No tools required. Take it off, rinse it. You can even open this valve up a little bit here and do that. Just make sure this water's flowing freely. And then put that back in there like that. And then you just screw it in place. And you're good to go. You see, the water still isn't coming out. Did you turn the valve back on? Oh, never mind. So, take a good look at that valve. Make sure everybody can see it. I know I was blocking it, but you kind of see what's going on under there? You can see it from here. Great. Let's walk around this side of the machine because this is the side that sticks out a little further. The right side of the machine sticks out further because in America we drive on the right side of the road. We want you to have good edge cleaning. The seat's to the right side of the machine, so if you're going to clean along the walls or the bleachers, use the right side of the machine. We got good roller protection. We'll get closer to the edge, and you won't be straining your neck looking over the other side. Okay? We'll do that soon. All right, so the next thing the water's going to do is it's going to drop on to our pads and pad holders. And here's the pad holder. It looks like a brush. We've seen people try to use this as a brush, and this will wear down to nothing in a minute, and it would damage this floor. So
Definitely.
We don't want you to do that. So that's the pad holder. That's the center lock device. This you keep in your shower to use on your elbows if you want to. Here, you get one too. We see it. I tell you what, a lot of people will take those and walk around and get off the heel marks with their foot. You know? So some people will go through the gym. They do this at UCLA in different places, and they'll see a heel mark and they'll take that and go, good. Walk around. You can also use the tennis ball on the stick.
Oh yeah.
People keep it in the sink. So reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Okay, so these are the white pads. These are very friendly. They're not going to scratch the floor. They fit on there just like that. This little spring clip, you'll hear 2 clicks. 1, 2. You want 2 clips so it really recesses in, so that doesn't touch the floor. Only the pad's touching the floor. If you don't push that all the way in, we don't want this touching the floor. There it is. Take this one, do the same thing. Now we're going to get you some more pads. These are the 13s. You're supposed to have 14s. We were out of them. They cleaned us up. The Boy Scouts came in and bought all the 14-inch pads we had. So
We have new ones coming in
more
Monday.
pads, but for now, these will be fine. The pads sit on the floor like this, so they overlap a little bit so you don't get the line down the middle. They're not completely side by side because there would always be a line. So the way this deck is positioned, they're like that. So you'll get a nice cleaning path with no line down the middle. Okay. I'm gonna do it once and then I want you guys to do it. This lug system is simple to remember. The outside of the brush turns towards the front of the machine to engage the brush. On the other side, we would turn that one this way, this one will turn this way. So the outside towards the front. I'm going to slide this under here, I'm going to lift it up, and I'm going to turn it like that. And just make sure that all three lugs are engaged, and it is. To take it off, you just spin it back, wave and down again. So who's going to be installing pads on this machine?
It's probably going to be done.
Here it goes. I suggest being back here, you'll see it, it's very intuitive. Lift it up probably with two hands. Lift it and turn it towards the front. There you go. That's it. Keep turning it. All three are engaged. You're good. That's it. Yeah, and it's off. Now it comes off. There you go. So that's a little hard to see. Yeah, it is. You can almost do it blindfold. Yeah. Once you do it 2 or 3 times, you can do it blindfold. All right, so go ahead and put it back on. I'm going to have you put the sides on. Okay, good. So these are the side skirt. Now that yellow one on the bottom, you can raise and lower the skirt depending upon if you're using brushes or pads that they start to wear. As the rubber starts to wear, you can make this go up and down. I think it's set pretty good right now. Put it up a little higher because this is all brand new stuff. What you want to do is maybe the rubber looks like about like that when you're using it.
Okay.
It keeps stuff from splashing out and it follows the water towards the middle of the machine. You can see it's kind of got this little door lock key opening, so you put it in and you slide it backwards and then you just snug them up. I have seen people put these on real tight. It's a water environment and you can get corrosion in there. And I've seen these with, channel lock marks. Like, how'd they get on there so tight? It's not that somebody put them on too tight. You may want to keep those lubricated with a little white lithium grease or something once a month. Put a dab on there. I've seen people use Crisco, Vaseline, WD-40 as a little thin, but it just keeps that from getting bound up. Okay, let's do the other side. Now you can see this one's tucked in a little further, but I think you're on. That's it, that's fine. There you go, beautiful. Sure this isn't your first rodeo. Outside towards the front of the machine. I just spin, because sometimes 2 in and 1's out, and it wobble, looks like all 3 are in, you're good. And you can see they're on gimbals here, so they flow a little bit to move with the unnatural waves of the floor. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Okay. So now, the water's on the floor with the product. The brushes are agitating the floor, the pads are very nicely. The water's going to work its way with the forward motion of the machine towards our squeegee. So let's talk about our squeegee system. This is literally where the rubber meets the road, with the exception of the tires. 2 blades. The front blade is supposed to leak. It's got some slots in there. That lets water into this channel. The back blade's doing all the work, more specifically this leading edge. That's what's going to collect all the water, bring it to this standpipe, and it's going to suck up all the water into the tank. These blades are going to work great today. They're brand new. Over time, this is going to get rounded off, and it's not going to pick up like it used to. I see you got the cork clean. You might even have the jumbo dust mop. That's great. Get the big stuff out of the way. You're not going to hurt the machine, but you will pick up hitchhikers, a leaf, a small animal, a paper clip, a dust bunny, and you will have that annoying streak. It's no different than the windshield wipers on your car when you have a bumblebee stuck in the windshield. You get that annoying streak. Not going to hurt anything. It's just drives you nuts, right? So get the big stuff off the floor so the squeegee remains efficient. When the squeegee does wear, and it will, I don't know if it's going to be 6 months, I don't know if it's going to be 12 months. This is a beautiful floor. We're not cleaning a lot of dirt. When that happens, you take this buckle, you take this blade, and you flip it. You'll get a whole new edge. Some people say you can turn it, flip it, turn it, you get 4 usable edges. That's a bit optimistic. I think by the time you notice it's worn, I don't know if the other direction is going to help you. But some people keep an eye on it and they go, when it gets worn to about halfway, we just flip, turn it. Use that edge. And then when both edges are bad, we flip it. And you get 4 usable edges. If you're really good, you'll get it. If it's not, you'll buy a new set of blades once a year. It costs you about $30, front and rear. The front blade is factory set here for tension and this thumb nut here. It's supposed to leak, so even if it's leaking a little bit, it's no big deal. But it's nice to flip them at the same time. So that band comes off, you can flip that blade as well. Again, a really good thing to keep lubricated. I have seen these out there with teeth marks in there from the pliers because somebody said, I just couldn't get it off. I think they come a little lubricated from the factory, but once a month, once every 2 months, throw a little blob of something in there that just kind of keeps it from binding up. Okay? It mounts on just like that. Thumb tight. It's what we call our breakaway squeegee design. If by chance somebody gets a little lack of focus and they hit a corner, they hit a doorway, rather than damage the bleachers of the corner of the doorway or the machine, this will break away. If I kick that real hard, it'll just come falling. Not a problem. It's designed to do that. This knob here adjusts the pitch of the blade. So when it's on the floor, we want a nice even mating surface. We don't want this flat and this up in the air. We don't want this flat and this not even touching the ground. It's set from the factory, but you can adjust the pitch here. You can see how it's tilting a little bit. So we'll see where it is. The hose is supposed to have that little curve in it. That keeps Lake Pasadena from dropping on your floor after you're done shutting off the vacuum, because it just collects a little water there and minimizes the water that can end up on the floor. All right. Let's move on up here. And by the way, this hose does come out, so you can take this hose and rinse it. This is now what's picking up all the dirty water, so you can take that hose off and rinse it occasionally. Now all the dirty water's coming right into this tank. Come on and take a look. Nice, beautiful, clean tank for now. So all the water's going to go into that tank. There is a float shutoff here, and there's a filter here. This is where the vac motor is. This vac motor creates a low pressure system in this tank. No moisture goes through the vac motor, hopefully. That's why we have this ping pong ball in here. Prevents, exactly like a wet dry vac. And if the water level gets too high, the ping pong ball will float and shut off the airflow so no water gets ingested into the vac motor. If you hear the high whining pitch, that means the ping pong ball floated. Shut it off, let's empty the water. This, when you first start up this machine, there's no water on the floor and the vacuum's running. So you might suck up some dust bunnies that ends up in here. Once you have water in the system, water encapsulates dust and debris very well, and that'll end up in the bottom of the tank. But on initial startup, this prevents little pebbles and grains and stuff going past the ping pong ball and being carried by the air and going into the vac motor. Okay? Cleanable, you rinse it, dry it off, put it back in there. You can even replace it. Maybe once a year, check it out. Sometimes they get a little crumbly. The refrigerator gasket, that's what keeps a good seal here. If this cap's on tight and this is clean and we get a good seal here, we'll get good suction down there. If I were to run the machine like this, we'd have no suction on the floor. All the air would be going through this space. So we do want to keep this clean. We want to inspect the gasket, make sure it's clean. And if you were running the machine like this, you wouldn't have very good vacuum either, because you'd have suction here and there. So now you got water in this tank, you take this out, we can back it into that closet that we were at just now to fill it. This is your pinch and pour feature. You can slow the water down so it doesn't splash all over the place. You can unscrew it and gently let the water flow into the slop sink, floor sink, janitor sink. When that happens, I would also suggest you take this and you rinse it out till the water runs clear. You don't want any nasty stuff in here. Once it runs clear, you can button it up, hang it there. You can even do this. I would suggest after each use to take the squeegee off and rinse it off, because anything that's on there right after you're done cleaning is going to come off very easily. If you let it sit overnight and dry, you're going to have crusty stuff on there. You're going to need a brush and soap and water to clean the squeegees. This has this little nook here and this little boss there. You can do that and that. Now it's narrow enough to back into the closet. It also lets the tank air out so we don't have any mold and mildew building in here. It's a real science experiment if you take a dark, damp tank and put it in a dark closet. It's not the point. So that's a nice way to store the machine. Questions? I'm moving pretty fast here. About time to have some fun and run it, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Talk is cheap. It's like you're just building. Can't stand it. Let's come on over to the machine. Ladies first. Who's going to be the first driver?
Dana.
Yeah, girl.
All right.
All right. Here's the keys to your new Buick.
The hot rod.
Up on up.
I thought you were going to get a Subaru, Dana.
All right. So, first things first, let's adjust this where it's ergonomic. Maybe right there sounds good. Maybe right there's better. I don't know. Put the key in and turn it once clockwise. Good. Now, all these lights came on.
Yes, sir.
And then everything calmed down and it kind of shows we've got a full battery. And that's about it for now. This, by the way.
Oh, don't take it off.
Don't take it off. We want to leave that on there. Or do you?
That's the most satisfying part.
It's kind of one of the satisfying things, like when you get a new
I
phone.
cannot. I leave everything on.
Good for you. I like it. This is pretty much waterproof. You can dump a bucket of water. Some of the even newer machines have exposed rocker switches and stuff, so this is pretty slick. It's like your microwave oven. All right. So, you've been working out today? Have you been training? Okay. So, this is brush up and brush down.
Okay.
I'm gonna show that one more time.
That's it. Ooh, she's good. So now your brushes are off the floor. If you take it over and set it down, now your brushes are on the floor.
Okay.
If this was a nasty floor, maybe a grocery store with a bunch of shopping cart traffic, and we didn't use white pads, we used degreaser, we used red pads that are more strong, we wanted more pressure, I can give it a lot of floor pressure there. Not needed in your gym, for sure. Run it over there. Can you feel the difference? Feel the tension you're putting on it? Yeah. See, you really increase the pad pressure of that.
Yes.
So we're going to leave that there. I like it. This is your squeegee. Squeegee on the floor, squeegee in the air. Pretty simple, right? I'll let you do it. Right. So the brushes are down, the squeegees are down.
Oh, did I push
When you lift it up, you did fine. When you lift it up, it has a delay, any water that's in the hose, and then it shuts off. Water, low, medium, high, or off. Water on, low, medium, high. I think medium's going to be great for this floor.
Okay.
If you're going really fast, once you get confident and good, you can put it on high flow. If you're going really slow because it's tight area, you can leave it on low flow. Medium's pretty good. That's it. When you press that pedal, a few things are going to happen. The wheels are going to turn.
Hopefully.
Yeah. The brushes are going to spin. The water's going to flow, and the vacuum's going to vacuum. When you take your foot off the pedal, the brushes stop spinning, the water stops flowing, and the wheels stop turning. So it's great. If you have to stop because somebody's on the phone, that's fine. If you lift up the vacuum will shut off. So, before we do anything, I just want you to do the old golf cart. I want you to get used to what 3 wheels feels like, because this is a front wheel drive tricycle.
Okay.
If you turn this
Corners wheel.
now press the pedal a little before trying to run the wheel. Crazy. That wheel is actually spinning backwards. It's crazy good. So take it around here, drive around, go up to the red letters.
Stop recording now.
Yeah, no, this is good. We want you to get used
This
to
is the best part.
maneuverability of it. And there is no brake. You take your foot off of that, boom, it stops. If you use your heel, it'll go backwards. So you can even use that as a brake.
Okay.
But take a couple laps and get used to this thing. And it moves really fast in the transport mode. And that's what you are right now. You're in the transport mode. So it'll move pretty good. If you turn really fast, really sharp going down, you could get that thing on 2 wheels.
Well, yeah, I just almost didn't.
No, you didn't. But those prevent this from getting on 2 wheels, too. These bumper guards.
I mean, I'm not going to go that fast.
Well, you look like you might have some gasoline in your veins. You like driving. Good for you, yeah. You probably will rarely have to back up, because when you're going forward, it's amazing how far you can turn. We've seen people in aisleways do the 3-point turn, right? I said, just keep turning the wheel. You'll be surprised.
If you just back up, does it mess up the suction?
It can.
Because it goes
Well, you'll be
back?
leaving water here.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, in fact, let's do this. come this way. Go down this flat line. Put your right tires on the flat line. And now let's say you wanted to go back that way. Just make a turn as hard as you can right now until you stop turning. And now look at the black line. You're almost there.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't really need to do the three-point turn. We're also going to talk about a cleaning pattern where I want you guys, if possible, to avoid the lawnmower method. You're doing the lawnmower method. It's up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Every time you get to the end, you're unproductive, and then we go again. You get to the end, unproductive, and go again. So yeah, you know the Zamboni pattern.
Spiral it in.
You kind of do the perimeter and then go halfway. You can do a series of ovals. It probably cut your time in half. I'll show you on the board. Okay, let's put the brushes on the floor. Let's put the squeegee on the floor. Your water's on medium.
Yes, sir.
You are ready to clean. Press the pedal. You'll hear all the functions start going. Very good. I like our squeegee. I like our skirt. Hold on 1 second. This is a little vertical. This is a little flat.
Right side's up.
Just that picture right there.
Go forward. See the difference? There we go. All right, you're clean. Enjoy. I want you to see, right here we got some stuff. We're going to pick up some more.
All right. I'd probably call that good. Yeah, there you go.